definitely from life itself, you know. I love playing flawed characters, you know, and there's a lot of fun in doing that, and there's a lot of fun playing bad also sometimes. It's very liberating.
It essentially created a monster. I feel like people can go through those same experiences and not wake up one day and decide to kill 9 million people. So he was
take the negatives
like,
and make them a positive, and that's why he's an example. I think the human race should never forget.
Papa, he creates the most bawal with his, I think, mild OCD, with his food habits, with his no filter. Khushi's not that bothered to rein him in.
Hello everyone, welcome to ETimes. I'm Rachit Gupta, and today we are talking to the team of Bawaal. So let's get into it. Hello guys, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Okay. आपके individual families में एक ऐसा बंदा जो सबसे ज़्यादा बवाल create करता है, and how do other people in the family deal with it? Starting with you, Varun.
My dad, definitely.
Okay.
24/7, वो बवाल ही create करते रहते हैं.
Okay.
But it's a lot of fun. It's too much fun.
Okay. And who reins him in?
My mom.
Always.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or Rohit, or me, or my niece now maybe.
Fantastic. Janhvi?
Yeah, also Papa. He creates the most bawal, for sure.
Okay.
With his I think, mild OCD, with his food habits, with his no filter, definitely creates a lot of bawal.
And again, who reins him in? Who's got that handle on him?
That person does not exist.
Does not exist?
No.
You and your sister?
I try quite a bit. But you know what works with him is always playing the emotional card.
Khushi, no?
Yeah, Khushi, but Khushi's not that bothered to rein him in. She's more like live and let live. But I get agitated. But he doesn't like hearing logic. Like if you cry and get emotional, then he'll also cry and be like, "Theek hai beta, kar lunga main." So that's what you have to do.
Did any of his brothers ever struggle with his hair?
They're all such distinct personalities and characters, and they're all just like, you know, हम हैं ऐसे और वो है ऐसा और ये है ऐसा, तो अब कुछ कर नहीं सकते. So it's yeah.
Nitesh sir, आपके family में कोई?
My twins.
Yeah.
They are enough to keep both me and Ashwini on the edge every day.
How old are they now?
They are 13 now.
अब तो थोड़े stable हो गए होंगे.
Now this is the time where the one is boy and one is girl. So that sibling rivalry has kicked in big time now.
Really?
Yeah.
But it was there on set also.
Yeah. So now they are at loggerheads on everything, and we have to constantly keep on. You know how two boxers who can't get away from each other, and the referee has to come and say, "Bhai, you go in your corner, you go in your corner." Me and Ashwini have been doing that now non-stop whenever we are at home.
But such bright kids, yeah, such bright kids. They were on set for quite a bit of our shoot, and they were basically helping. Like I think at one point they became your DA and ADs, and
they wanted to be useful.
Yeah,
like, you know,
and honestly, one of the best. Like clapping is not an easy job to write the correct take and scene. Like I've seen veterans mess up at that, but he always got it.
Question to Janhvi and Varun. I've always felt थोड़ी बहुत मैंने स्क्रिप्ट राइटिंग की हुई है लाइफ में. सो एक मेरा बहुत पहले से रूल था दैट यू नो द फर्स्ट रिएक्शन दैट अ पर्सन गिव्स टू यू आफ्टर दे रीड योर स्क्रिप्ट इज द मोस्ट ऑनेस्ट रिएक्शन. यू नो देन दे विल probably think and sort of strategize. So when the Bawaal script came to the two of you, what was that first honest reaction that came to your mind?
I actually got a 30-minute speed narration for the first time when Nitesh was telling me about the film, and I teared up a lot by the end of it. Yeah. I got quite teary, and I laughed quite a bit throughout.
Okay.
Similarly, like for me, it was like, oh, there's a lot of fun in this. There's a lot of humor in this. Shit, the film is, you know, now it goes into this part now, so it's very interesting. And by the end of it, it just gets you, and then you are like feeling very vulnerable and emotional. And I was like, when did this happen? How did this script get me here? And every time I read it, every time Sir narrated it, even in the first narration I got emotional, the second narration I got emotional, when I read it I got emotional, and I laughed. So the best thing about this, you know, a script is working when every time you go through it, you have the same reaction. And if that happens 4-5 times, then it's definitely working.
So if your reactions are consistent, that's like a huge marker.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, something which has intrigued me as a writer, and this is to you, Varun and Nitesh sir. you know, we all, when we write stories, we all want to make an everyman's hero, you know, somebody who's going to inspire a very general, broad audience per se. But when you make such a character, how many liberties can you take with his moral compass? And I ask this because, you know, Ajju has a moral compass that is very sort of skewered.
Yeah.
So how many gray shades can you give your hero? And as a writer, as a director, do you ever sort of get stuck with that?
Yeah. So we work on this philosophy. You know, you push and test the limit, and push him to the maximum place. If you push it any further, he can't be redeemed in the eyes of the audience. Take him only up to that much level, and don't push it beyond that. You know, and that is one golden rule which we follow. I think that's a golden rule which we followed in Dangal also. You know, that push the Mahavir Singh's character only up to a certain limit, after which he will not become redeemable. You know, and you should keep him redeemable also. So that's what we have done with Ajju also. No matter, you know, what is his character, you know, our attempt has been that he still needs to be able to entertain the people so that it becomes easy to forgive him.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah.
Varun, when you are faced with such a character, look, inherently nobody is like that, you know.
Yeah.
Even if they are, they'll probably not acknowledge
They
it.
won't, yeah, they won't want to show.
Yeah.
it.
But when you're sort of dealing with these shades, I mean, where do you go? Where do you get that inspiration from?
Definitely from life itself, you know. And like Sir said, of pushing the other side. I love doing that. I've done that in many. I love playing flawed characters, you know. And there's a lot of fun in doing that, and there's a lot of fun in playing bad also sometimes. It's very liberating. So this was very, I don't know, I would feel very liberated when I became Ajju, because he's just saying and doing whatever the hell he wants. I can't do that. And he's just behaving rude and
Bullying me, which he enjoyed doing a lot.
I just enjoy doing that on screen, very honestly. And yeah,
Can it be a liberating experience as
Very.
well?
it's very liberating to play bad sometimes. Because everyone has that side, let's be honest. Like there's a line कि हम सब में थोड़ा Hitler है. And I'm not saying we go to that tilt, obviously, and that's not there in our film either, but everyone does have these streaks.
Okay. Interesting.
I think a lot of people's moral compass is also adjusted, keeping the fear of society in mind. So when you have the freedom on a film set where you're playing the character, तो अंदर जो भी है, you have the freedom to take it out, and I think that teaches you a lot about your own psyche and, you know, human nature.
Okay. Interesting. That's very articulate. You know, very
Yeah,
well
she
put.
speaks very
So,
precisely.
has it ever happened to you? I mean, has a character liberated you completely and brought you, you know, made you discover shades that you probably didn't know you had?
Yeah, a couple of times, but I think the most in Millie. I think when I was in the freezer, you know, in life, you carry a lot of baggage when things happen to you, and more often than not, you don't have the freedom or the luxury, or you don't want to seem weak even to yourself in front of the mirror, that you've let things get to you, or you like have a moment where you really break down. So I think all of us are carrying a lot of baggage, but in that freezer, because the level of suffering of that character was so high and so intense, that it gave me the freedom to just it was like a purge of everything. मतलब पूरा भड़ास निकाल दिया मैंने, सालों का जो भी था, and it was very freeing. It was very cathartic, I think.
Nice. Varun, ऐसा कभी आपके साथ हुआ?
With Bhedia, definitely just being
A wolf.
yeah, I mean playing an animal and just being in nature and being like pretty much stark naked, just with nature and environment and all that was.
Okay. I need to ask you guys, you play a history teacher.
Yes.
So obviously you must be teaching about these historical figures, and of course you guys have the Hitler motif as well. So each one of you, give me one historical character that you have been intrigued by and why. What is that one part of their personality that really intrigued you? Starting with you, Nitesh sir.
One historical figure.
हाँ जी.
There are so many to choose from.
कोई एक जिसका आपसे वास्ता रहा हो बहुत सालों से. Like I've always been fascinated by Hitler. मैंने बचपन में ही मेन काम्प पढ़ी थी, and I could understand, you know, his thought process. As evil as it was, I could still sort of understand what he was vying for.
But you don't agree
No,
with
yeah,
it.
no,
I don't agree
understand
with
it.
it, of course. But I was just able to give logic to it, like
Correct,
where he
correct.
came from, his upbringings, his experiences, how he was shamed even for his physical aspects.
But imagine it essentially created a monster.
Of course.
I feel like people can go through those same experiences and not wake up one day and decide to kill 9 million people. So he was
the negatives
like,
and make them a positive, and that's why he's an example. I think the human race should never forget, because that just shows how just shows you that that's how wrong you can't go. And that's where parenting comes in. For me, it would be Mahatma Gandhi. I've always been very, very intrigued. I think
You have to think of somebody else.
with
आपका आंसर चुरा लिया.
Gandhi.
I wish I had spoken earlier.
Mahatma Gandhi is always intrigued me, like since childhood.
He's someone who has fascinated me a lot also. It's so much so that I would want to sit and I want to sit and have a conversation with him as to why he did certain things the way he did, and what was his thought process, and how he actually thought. And a great example of how. And that's something which we crave for. You do something and you want everybody to pay attention to that. That man with that limited media around that time managed to get the attention of the whole country. Got them to do one thing which he wants. How did he manage to do that? What was his process? How did he think about it? How did he come up with those things? Is something which will be quite incredible to know from the man himself.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I think Bhagat Singh.
Yeah.
For sure, to have that amount of courage at such a young age. I think Mata Hari, because there's so much.
Lovely character.
There's just so much conjecture about who she was and what her life was, and also the last Tsar of Russia, Nicholas, because I think he was so crippled by his privilege, but put in such a powerful position, and how his actions or his lack of actions resulted in a complete upheaval of Russia.
Of Russian society, yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic answer again. She's beating you guys.
Got a lot of time to sit on Google.
पढ़ के आएंगे वो.
जानवी ने हमसे ज़्यादा history पढ़ी है क्या?
It was fun talking to you guys,
Thank you.
and I hope people have as much fun while they're watching a film.
Thank you
so much.
So, yeah.
Thank you.